Okay, so should we start the webinar? Just want to ensure that everyone is comfortable. So it's less of a webinar and more of an interactive talk. Welcome to the foolproof action plan to crack CAT 2022. It's foolproof so that it shouldn't be like you study a lot and you end up like a fool not getting the desired result. The journey is very, very important. The goal is very, very important. So we will be talking also about the mental conditioning part, which is most important to crack a competitive examination like CAT. So to begin with, so you have to understand that CAT examination, Common Admission Test for the IIMs, FMS, Delhi University, SP Jain, MDI Gurgaon, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, NITI Mumbai. So the CAT examination basically is not only for the IIMs but many top-notch MBA institutes where I know so many students who have been trained by me who are able to get a domestic package of maybe 50-60 lakh rupees, and their lives change not only because of the insane amount of salary that they get as their first job, but also because of the exposure, because of the experience, which is most important. So I recall my CAT preparation days that I was never into studies. I was aspiring to be a national level cricketer, and my hometown is Ranchi, and I used to play for Ranchi Cricket Academy, the same cricket academy from which Mahendra Singh Dhoni used to play. So I was very happy, and from morning till late evening, I used to go for the net practice. And my marks in 10th and 12th, they were extremely poor. In 10th, I got 60%, and in 12th, I got 57% because as an aspiring professional sports person, you can't even attend school. It's like real hard work where you go at 5:30 a.m. in the morning for the net practice, and then you stay in your academy till evening, and then you return home late in the evening, and then you watch more cricket on television and even county cricket, and then you sleep because you have to get up in the morning and you have to again start your practice. So I was never into academics, I was never into studies, but my brother, who had done his BTech from IIT Kharagpur, he was studying that time at IIM Ahmedabad, and I didn't know much about IIT and IIMs. I thought that who cares about IIT and IIMs, like who is bigger, Sachin Tendulkar or maybe some guy who's going to IIT or IIM. But one day when I returned home after net practice, the folks at home were very, very happy because my brother's photograph was on the front page of all newspapers, and the year was year 2000, and it was his final year at IIM Ahmedabad, and he was selected in a very prestigious investment bank called Lehman Brothers at a package of more than 1 crore rupees at the World Trade Center, New York City. So his life had totally changed from being from Jharkhand and straight away going to Manhattan and the investment banking crowd there in Lehman Brothers and working in World Trade Center, where most of the Fortune 500 billion-dollar companies were headquartered. So like then he used to tell us stories from there, that the kind of social circle that he has, the kind of meetings, the kind of people he meet, and the things that he is experiencing is way beyond imagination. So I got very motivated, especially because of the 1 crore salary figure. And in graduation, I decided, okay, like let's start preparing for CAT. Because see, in sports, in music, in entertainment, in these occupations, there is no guarantee of success. So the first thing I realized and I was convinced was that, okay, here is an examination and it's an easy examination. If I talk about the CAT pattern right now also, you have 3 sections this year and there are just 76 questions. You are having 26 questions in the first section, which is the English section, also known as Verbal Ability and Reading Comprehension, BNRC. And the second section is DI and LR, Data Interpretation and Logical Reasoning section. You have 24 questions in that. And then finally, you have the maths question, also known as the Quantitative Ability section, which is having 26 questions. So there were hardly like 20, there is hardly 26, 24 and 26 questions, which is not a very big deal. Plus, if you look at the mathematics which comes in CAT paper, it is the easiest. Why? A, a lot of CAT aspirants, they don't have maths in their 11th and 12th standard. So because of that, they don't give maths beyond 10 standard. And in that also, the maths which is there up to 10 standard is mostly comprising of first arithmetic. So if you go through the paper of the last 4-5 years of CAT, you will see that 35 to 40% of the questions in the paper is from arithmetic. And by arithmetic, I mean chapters like time, speed and distance, time and work, averages, mixtures, simple equation, ratio, proportion, variation, percentages, profit and loss, simple interest and compound interest. So you guys would have, studied this, but in 4th, 5th standard. So even if I'm from CBSE board, in CBSE board there is no arithmetic chapter in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th standard. So when we talk about arithmetic, it is even going to like way before 6th, 7th standard. So 35 to 40% of the paper is from arithmetic. Then the second most important topic is algebra. 25 to 30% of the questions in the math section over the past 4-5 years is from algebra. And algebra is a very vast topic. So you have functions and graphs, you have progressions and series, so arithmetic progression, geometric progression, harmonic progression, you have indices, logs and surds, you have quadratic equations, you have special equations. It's a fairly elaborate topic. So, but again, till 10th standard. And the best part about arithmetic and algebra is that these are very mechanical topics. Especially if you look at algebra, it's a very mechanical topic in the sense that if you practice, then you will definitely get a 100% score. So first and the most important thing in the math section is arithmetic, where I just pointed out the important topics, which are simple equation, ratio, proportion, variation, percentages, profit and loss, simple interest, compound interest, time, speed and distance, time and work, averages, mixtures and alligation. So this is 35 to 40% of the paper, the math section. And then the algebra, where we have functions and graphs, indices, logs and surds, different types of equations, progression and series. This is again 25 to 30%. So 60 to 70% of the paper is just coming from arithmetic and algebra. Can't get easier than this. Then 15 to 20% of the paper math section is from geometry and mensuration, where geometry will be 80 to 85%, 90%, mensuration will be 10 to 15%, at max 20%. We are talking about the composition, of geometry and mensuration when we talk about geometry and mensuration as a topic. So it's mostly geometry and less of mensuration. And this will be like 15 to 20% of the math section, which we have observed over the past 4-5 years. So if you just take arithmetic, algebra and geometry, it is close to 90% of the paper, 80 to 90% of the paper. And we do have topics like we have permutation, combination, probability, but then sometimes there is hardly 0, 1, 2 questions of PNC, or maybe there is 0 question or 1, or if sometimes we have seen maybe 2 questions of PNC. So it is not a lot in terms of weightage. And probability, what the data that we have been getting over the past 3-4 years, probability has been more or less absent in the maths section of CAT. So we should first focus on the 80 to 90% of the math section, that is arithmetic, algebra and geometry. And when we talk about a topic called numbers, so what is numbers? So many people confuse numbers with number system. Number system is like we use decimal system, which is having 10 digits. That's the reason it is called decimal system: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when we talk about mathematics, we use decimal system. Similarly, there is a binary system where there are only 2 digits used: 0, 1, and then you have hexadecimal system where there are 16 digits from 0 to 9, and then A, B, C, D, E. So these are basically number system, which this is different from numbers as a topic. And if you observe the CAT paper, even number system, like you will hardly see questions from number system. What is numbers? So some people might say numbers are typically questions like cyclicity, large digit, remainders and all those things. But truly speaking, what is numbers? Any question of mathematics which is not from arithmetic or algebra or geometry, mensuration or PNC, probability or coordinate or trigonometry, is basically a topic from numbers. And the beauty about numbers is that in most of the questions you can crack it on the spot by looking at the behavioral pattern, taking a smaller sample set and then seeing whether this the same behavioral pattern in the smaller sample set is universally applicable or not. So it's not tough. But then if we take PNC probability and numbers, and okay, so coordinate does come in CAT, but very seldom, and that too is very basic. So it's formula based questions only, that coordinates are given, what's the distance is given, find the coordinates. Trigonometry does not come in CAT, so you don't have sine, cos and all those things. Heights and distances may come, but then heights and distances again a part of geometry and mensuration to an extent. So if you look at the paper broadly, maths is the easiest of all three sections. Why? A, maths is only till 10th level. B, arithmetic is the lion's share of the math section. It is 35 to 40% of the paper. And then algebra is 25 to 30% of the paper. Geometry mensuration is 15 to 20% of the paper, where it is mostly geometry questions and very few mensuration questions. So 80 to 90% of the paper is just from these three topics. And then 5 to 10% of the left paper is from numbers and very less of PNC, and probability more or less absent. Coordinate also very less, only formula based, and nothing more than this. Plus, I recall that when I was preparing for the CAT examination, I had to practice Vedic maths, speed maths, and so that we can calculate very fast, because it's a timed paper. So you have to be fast in the paper, because that will help you in attempting more questions and getting a higher score. But to make the job easier for you guys, calculator has been introduced over the past few years. This year also there is calculator, so I bet next year also there will be the online calculator. So you don't have to be phenomenal in terms of your calculation speed. You can use the calculator. Why? Because you cannot be better than the calculator. No matter how fast you are, maybe sometimes you will be doing mistakes and all. So maths is the easiest, to the extent that last year also I had few students, like one of my students, Saksham Katiyar, he scored full in maths. So there are 26 questions, and for every question you have +3 and incorrect you have -1. So he attempted all 26, got all 26 correct. So 26 into 3, 78. So his score was 78 in math section. Many students are able to achieve this feat of either perfect score in maths or near perfect score in maths. Why? Because it is the most scoring section. Now here, I would also like to point out that you don't have to be an engineer to score full in maths. So you don't have to be an engineer to basically score full in maths. I am a non-engineer, and I did BA honors in English literature from St. Xavier's College. Then I was pursuing law from Delhi University's Campus Law College. So I was not an engineer, but then because the maths that come in CAT is as such that anyone can crack it. Anyone can crack it. It's all about practice. It's all about giving hours. So it's like someone doesn't know cycling, and then he starts cycling. Initially maybe he will fall, and he might have some unpleasant experiences, and then one day he will learn how to ride the bicycle in a good way, and then if he practices more and more and more, he'll get very good at it. So same is the case with studies. So here, instead of physical unpleasantness, we are talking about mental unpleasantness, in the sense so initially, if I know a lot of students who are basically having this fear phobia of mathematics. Uh, Mathematics is not a monster. It's not Thanos. It's not a ghost, that you see in Conjuring, and it's not a food that you don't enjoy. Like, it's a subject, and it's a subject which is an absolute subject. That means that no matter how much of time you invest in the English section, you can never be sure of a near perfect score, or you cannot be sure that, okay, this answer is like going to be the correct answer, because it's a language. But mathematics is an absolute subject, and if you study well, you will get full score, or whatever you have. So suppose you study arithmetic very well. When you look at an arithmetic question, there'll be a lot of familiarity because you have solved a lot of questions like that, and then you'll be sure that, okay, you're getting some score. So that boosts your morale, that boosts your confidence. So when we talk about starting preparation for CAT 22, I want to drill this inside your head, that in this game of CAT 2022, your best friend first is going to be the math section, and you need to really invest a lot of time from beginning only to become a master in this section. And then also the most important thing is that how much of time you need to invest in every topic. So for example, arithmetic is very important, algebra is very important. So when you're starting your preparation, you should focus on strengthening arithmetic and then algebra and then geometry. So you also have to know what's the order in which you have to go. The order is extremely important, because what's the point in starting with a section, starting with a topic which has very less weightage, which may not come in CAT examination, and breaking your head over it. Because I know for sure there are a lot of you guys will start taking the mock cats, which are known as the legendary all India mock cats, aim cats, very early next year. And the problem will be that if suppose you are working on topics which are not like very high in terms of weightage, you will not be able to get a good score in the aim cats, and that's going to disappoint you further. So when you start with the main item. And here the main item is arithmetic, and then algebra, and then geometry, and then mensuration, and then numbers, and then a little bit of coordinate PNC probability. So this is about maths. Try scoring full in maths. Okay, so here one more advice that I would like to give to you guys is that you might have forgotten whatever you read in your school. So suppose if you're a CBSE student, the first problem can be that it has been such a long time. Now I'm in my pre-final or final year of college, or I've just passed out. And especially for the working professionals, like I don't remember anything. And straight away diving into CAT preparation and the CAT questions, may make you a tad uncomfortable. So what you need to do, this is what I did personally. Because I was CBSE students, I purchased the NCERT. NCERT are the official CBSE textbooks. So I purchased the NCERT 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th textbooks of mathematics. And then suppose we talk about algebra. So I did all the algebra topics of 7th, and then 8th, then 9th, and then 10th. Similarly, then geometry mensuration, I did all the geometry mensuration topics from 7th, then 8th, then 9th, then 10th. Not arithmetic, because arithmetic is not there from 7 to 10. So I was able to boost my morale, boost my confidence by going back to school textbooks. Here also you don't have to solve the exercises, because you're not sitting for board examination. What you need to do is that you just need to read the text and then do the solved examples. That's all you need to do. So what I mean by reading the text is, very few people would remember what is associative property, what is commutative property. Now where it is in the first chapter of 7th standard NCERT. And suppose you suddenly you are in you're solving a CAT question, and you come across these terms like commutative property, associative property, you might end up thinking, okay, this is something very complex and I don't recall, but I studied it long time ago. So that might break your momentum. It can affect your preparation, because see, competitive examination preparation is all about confidence. You need to be very, very confident. CAT is very easy in terms of the difficulty level, so you cannot compare it with IIT JEE or PMT or civil services, but it requires you to be mentally tough. And Financial Times, which is a leading London daily, they said that IIM Ahmedabad is the toughest institute in the world to get into, and CAT is one of the toughest examinations because it tests your mental toughness. So what I'm talking about here is not difficulty in terms of the question or the topic. It's like you have to be emotionally very, very sound and tough. So it's less. So if we talk about the CAT examination, it is less on IQ, that is the intelligence quotient, and more on the EQ, which is the emotional quotient. Because I think none of you attending the webinar today is a teenager. So right now, if I want to talk about the mental makeup of most of the students attending the webinar today, some days you'll be feeling a little blue, feeling a little low. Some days you'll be having anxiety. Some days you will be feeling, that I don't know what will happen to me in future, and uncertainty will definitely scare you a lot. And some of you guys who are into, sad, miserable relationships at such an early age in life, there will be added burden, added emotional pressure. So the mental makeup has to be very, very strong. You guys have to understand that this time won't return. So if you didn't study in school, doesn't make a difference. If you didn't study in college, doesn't make a difference. But when you talk about CAT examination or what you'll be doing after college, that's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. Your career will depend on it. And life is mostly about career. Why? Because like when you start working, you go to the office and then you work from morning till evening, you come home, you eat food and crash. And this you do from Monday to Friday, at some places Monday to Saturday. And if you're in a senior position, then you'll be working 7 days a week. So life is like less about fun, family, and more about work. 90% to 95% of your waking time is going to be at work. So you have to ensure that the work is good, the quality of work, the money part, the prestige part, the learning part, the exposure part, they all have to be good. And it doesn't matter where you come from. I have seen and I have trained students who come from Hindi medium background and they have made it to IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta, and FMS and MDI, and they have got like really good jobs abroad, and they're enjoying life and they're getting quality exposure. They're buying, Lambos and Ferraris and McLarens, and they're also helping, where they come from, the village, and they're inspiring students and doing social programs for the students of, that particular district or village. You can really make a paradigm shift in your life. This time is the most important time. Why? Because even if you're coming from a small time college, or even like me, like I told you, like I hardly went to school in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, which are the most important, standards in a school, because I was like playing cricket. Still, I was able to crack this examination. I didn't get a 100 percentile, but yeah, I got a 99.52 percentile. I didn't get an IIM Ahmedabad, but I got an IIM Kozhikode. And I think that going there, getting the exposure, it had a huge impact on me. So whether at an early age I joined a multinational company based out of Hong Kong called Nobel Group as the business development head of India, or whether I joined Time when I was like 26, 27 as the national CAT post director at the head office in Hyderabad, or whether starting, Time Lucknow, Time Kanpur, Time Prayagraj and all, I was able to get the breaks, of course, because of my hard work and dedication and passion. But somewhere I feel that that particular year in which I really gave my best shot to the CAT examination, where I compromised on maybe celebrating Holi, celebrating Diwali, or hanging out with friends, or having girlfriend or girlfriends. I was just very focused, and I used to get up in the morning, study for 1.5 hours, take a break, then again study for 1.5 hours, take a break, and from morning to evening I used to study, have a good dinner, and go to sleep. And I used to have a proper 7 to 8 hours sleep, and I just did this for few months, and I was able to reap the benefit. So even if you have a bad day in CAT, you'll end up getting at least above 99 percentile. If it's a bad day, if it's a good day in CAT, you can of course get anywhere between 99.90 percentile to 100 percentile. And this is not marks, this is percentile. I hope you guys know there's a difference between percentile and percentage. Percentile is your rank. So someone who gets a 90 percentile, it means that 90% of the test takers are below him and 10% of the test takers are above him. It doesn't mean that he has got 90% marks. In fact, nobody gets 90% marks in CAT examination, because maths is very, very scoring, but reasoning part is not scoring at all. We'll discuss about the other two sections, but you have to understand that the beauty of this examination is that it's not very tough. That's the first thing. Second, the math section is very, very scoring. Third, percentile, if you try to do a mapping of percentile and what percentage of marks one gets, vis-a-vis the percentile, it's very, very low. So out of 76 questions, if someone is going to get 30 correct out of 76 questions, even if you get 30 questions correct, you are in 90s. So it's not like you have to get a very, very high score also. But yeah, we have trained students, we have been training students, and this year also I'm pretty confident that a good number of students will end up getting even full score in sections like mathematics. Please build up on your mathematical skills. Business, you are going to do business management. So the first word is business and business management. Business is all about profit, loss, revenue, that is sales, productivity. Everything is a number. Everything is a number. So how can you be scared of numbers? And you don't have to be scared of numbers. This is not calculus we are talking about. We're not talking about coordinate geometry here. We're not talking about matrices and determinants here. We're not talking about that you need to be a Shakuntala Devi in terms of your number crunching skills. We're talking about basic numbers here, basic numbers. You need to be comfortable when you deal with numbers. So even if you talk about self-made billionaires like Dhirubhai Ambani and all, they weren't graduates of some top BTech institutes or something like that. They were just good with numbers, and anyone can be good with numbers. So where you need to start, you need to start with tables, because to get comfortable with numbers, you have to be comfortable with the basics. So the first thing I did personally was I mucked up again the table still 19, and the square still 30, and the cube still 20. And somewhere I used to do a little bit of number crunching. So 13, 14, 27, 27, 25, 52, 52, and 60, 112. So like you need to get comfortable with addition, subtraction, basic division, basic multiplication. Even though you will be using a calculator, still you need to be comfortable with numbers. That's very, very important. Plus take the baby steps first. Start from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th standard NCERT maths books. And if you are an ICSE student, then start from whichever books you read in school, because you have already studied it once. So the next time when you'll be studying it, things will start coming back to you sooner than you realize. That's going to be a big, big boost for you. So I hope, in the first part of my webinar, the point that I wanted to dwell inside your head was, please start understanding that mathematics is very, very important, not only to crack CAT, but also inside the MBA Institute, whether you do finance or marketing or HR or systems, that is IT, or strategic management or operations. You cannot run away from numbers. So I know that a lot of students, they want to go for human resource management because they want to escape maths or numbers. But in HR, human resource management, there are three divisions of HR. So you have personnel management. So what is personnel management? Is day-to-day, functioning of HR, hiring, that is talent acquisition, talent retention, performance appraisal, performance management. So here maths is again applied. Why? When you're making a package, so everything is a percentage, how much will be fixed, how much will be variable. When you're doing performance appraisal, then the metrics that you'll be using to do performance appraisal is again, mathematical. So you can't escape even in HR from, numbers. So in HR, the first division is personnel management. The second is industrial relations, also known as labor relations. So I bet most of you guys would have heard of XLRI Jamshedpur, that is Xavier Labor Relations Institute. It's very, very popular for their HR program. Of course, their MBA program is also brilliant. One of my students, Ankit Singh, he passed out of XLRI. He did his regular MBA program there, and he got a 53 lakh package job at a company called Trident Group based out of Gurgaon as their VP for operations. So of course, in HR also you get brilliant profiles there. And there is Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai, where the average package is more than 20 lakh rupees per annum, the domestic package. And then the third, so the second division of HR, which is labor relations, industrial relations, is for manufacturing setups where you're dealing with a large workforce. So you need to know about labor laws and union and things like that. And the third is HRD, human resource development, also known as training and development. So everywhere, even in HR, you cannot escape maths. I know especially girls and non-engineers, they're scared of maths. I will tell you, they're more dependable than your friends, and they're the most, maths is in fact the most dependable of all your friends. So make it a friend, and you don't need to be a champion, you don't need to be a flash in it. It'll take time. Take your time. See, that's the beauty of starting early. There is less of pressure on you, so you're not in a panic stricken mode, and you can take your baby steps. And because there is less of stress and less of panic, you can give more hours. So this is again very, very important for you guys to understand, that as you guys will start approaching the CAT examination, you will be able to focus less, you will be able to study less. Why? Because your mind will start even entertaining anxiety and the fear of failure. So if you're looking at studying, you should be studying more right now, so that when you get closer to the CAT window next year, you are in the mode of test taking. So that is how you should be preparing for CAT. So every year I see that the students who do very well in CAT, it's not that they're studying in the last 3 months, 4 months. Their studies is already over by May, June. They are in test taking because CAT examination is having three in fact, three stages of preparation. First stage is strengthen your basics, and strengthen your basics to that extent that you become like the god of basics. You know every single formula, you know the basics. When you talk of English, so English, if you talk about English language, the English paper is again very, very easy for even students who are not students of English literature, because there is nothing coming in the paper from English literature. You have 26 questions, and in the English section, the VARC section, out of those 26 questions, 18 questions are from reading comprehension. What is reading comprehension? Reading comprehension is unseen passages. So I bet all you guys have done unseen passages in school, where there's a passage and there are questions and the answer to the question is in the passage. So it's not rocket science. If you know how to read, English, and if you get a good exposure to different topics, so you'll have passages from philosophy, psychology, spirituality, science fiction, geography, history, and literary criticism, art criticism. So because the topics, the passages will be coming from different areas, exposure in terms of reading to these areas is very, very important. Why it is very, very important? It is very, very important because it's like if a doctor writes, whether he writes an article or whether he writes a book or whether he writes an essay, he will be using medical terminology. So similarly, an engineer will be using engineering terminology. Now, if suppose you have not read anything from the area of, say, medicine or area of engineering, when you read a passage and when you encounter terms which are from that area, it will totally stump you. You will not be able to get the meaning of it. And if suppose that term is very, very intrinsic, very, very important from understanding the meaning of the passage or paragraph, it will be like love's labors lost. Like you'll not be able to make much sense out of the paragraph or the passage. You have to read a lot, but you don't have to read a lot from just one area. So when we talk about preparation for reading comprehension, because reading comprehension is 18 out of 26 questions in the paper. So you have 26 questions, as I mentioned, from the VARC, the first section. And out of those 26 questions, 18 questions are coming just from reading comprehension. So you shouldn't, it's like if suppose you have to read something from history. There's a book called India After Gandhi by Ramchandra Guha. You don't have to read the entire book. It's like one fat, thick book, and it'll consume a lot of time. It's a little boring also. So what you need to do, read maybe a few pages, maybe 30 pages, 40 pages, 50 pages, and that's it. You need to read, but you need to read from as many areas as possible. You don't have to do PhD in reading from a particular topic. So when you talk about astronomy, read a little bit, something from astronomy. And plus, if you observe the pattern of CAT examination, the passages are generally excerpts from essays or white papers or articles. They're not generally, excerpts of fat books. So get into the habit of maybe reading articles, essays, research papers. That will help you a lot. So for example, you have Charles Darwin's, theory of natural selection, or Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis. Read a little bit of it. So you need to do reading, but it shouldn't be like you take a thick book and you try to, start from page 1 and go till the last page and finish it. You don't have to do that. You need exposure to varied. Your reading should be varied reading. Try to cover as many areas as possible so that you're able to understand both the terminology, the terms that belong to that particular area, and at the same time you're also able to understand the type of writing. What do I mean by type of writing? It's like if you read the speaking tree. So those guys who have Times of India coming to their home, they will understand that in the editorial page at the bottom there is also something known as the speaking tree. The way of writing, a spiritual passage is very different from the way of writing a political news. So you also have to get comfortable with the way of writing. It is very, very important. So how it is different is, suppose if you talk about spirituality, so there is a book known as Autobiography of a Yogi. It's a fad book. So okay, it's a very interesting book. It can be a life-changing book. But if you ask me that whether to go through the entire book or maybe read some pages and read articles and maybe the speaking tree, so the reading the articles and the speaking tree is going to benefit you more. Reason being that, as I said, reading a fat book consumes a lot of time, plus there'll be some exhaustion also later. Exhaustion in the sense that maybe you'll not be able to read, you would not want to read, or you may not want to read more books from spirituality once you have read maybe a fat book on coming from spirituality. So you need to, plus maybe if you read the book of one spiritual writer, his way of writing will differ from the book of some other spiritual writer. So even in spirituality, it is better that you read shorter books, or maybe articles, or maybe white papers, or maybe research papers, or do online reading. And here also you have to understand that CAT is a computer based test. It's not a paper based test. So your reading, you should try to encourage to yourself to read mostly online, and you have like hundreds and thousands and millions of articles online. So that is better. So first, when we talk about preparing for the English section, we are talking about focusing on unseen passages, the reading comprehension. 18 out of 26 questions are coming from that. In when it comes to the strategy to strengthen your skill at solving RC, first try to do a varied reading. Second, vocabulary. Now, vocabulary is most important. Like I said, that when you are preparing for mathematics, it's very, very important that you do the tables and the squares and the cubes, and you know how to play with numbers and all. Similarly, you have to understand a passage is made up of paragraphs. Paragraph is made up of lines. Line or a sentence is made up of words. If you're not having a strong word power, that is vocabulary, you are at a definite disadvantage. So I recall that when I started preparing, so I come from Ranchi, nobody's going to be talking in English, there. So like I bet that in most of the guys who are from North, Hindi is going to be the mode of communication, whether at home or at school or at a club or anywhere. So I was not like into English language. So the first thing I did was I started maintaining a notebook. Whenever I used to come across a word, whether it be when I'm listening to news, or I'm reading newspaper, or I'm reading a novel, or reading an article, or I'm talking to someone and someone uses a word, I used to look at the meaning of the word. Then write all the words which have a similar meaning, or like they're synonyms, because you have to understand in vocabulary, rather than trying to focus on learning word by having a word by word approach. It's better that with one word you are able to learn many words. It's like in Hindi we say ek तीर से दो निशाने. So in vocabulary you should do ek तीर से maybe 20 निशाने 30 निशाने. So I'll give you an example. Suppose I tell someone I hate you. So hate is the common word here. So I can also use words like I loathe you, I abhor you, you are my pet aversion. So there are many words from hate. So I hate, abhor, loathe, aversion, and there are many other words. So you use a common word, and then you basically learn a lot of words. I detest you again means I hate you. Just the degrees of hatred is like going to vary, but more or less it means the same. So one of the way to learn or strengthen your vocabulary is that when you don't know the meaning of a word, you just don't look at the meaning alone. You look at also say thesaurus or some place or in the dictionary where, okay, which are the words, which are the synonyms which mean more or less the same. It is very, very important. Second is that you also go and listen to the pronunciation of the word, because see, once you start once you know how to pronounce a word correctly, you're able to internalize it and you're able to use it. And the more you'll be able to use it, you will not forget it. Because one of the biggest problems that students face when it comes to vocabulary is that, sir, I have forgotten, or I keep forgetting the words which I learn. So the only way to not forget what you have learned is that you have to use it, whether in writing or whether in terms of talking. You have to use those words. So A, understand the meaning. B, apart from understanding the meaning, listen to the pronunciation, pronounce it, use it. And C, which is the most important thing, is application. So maybe 5 words are there, they more or less mean the same, but when it comes to a sentence, the application might differ. So I'll give you, a good exercise. If you look at the GRE verbal reasoning guide, so GRE is again used for, an examination if you want to do your master's abroad, mostly in US. So GRE is an examination which is used. If you look at the GRE verbal reasoning guide, or if you look at the GRE paper, they have something. They have, a kind of question, a type of questions known as sentence equivalence questions. So when you look at sentence equivalence questions or text completion questions in GRE, the words are not difficult, but the application part is where students get it wrong mostly. So the application is very, like I said, when to use hate, when to use detest, when to use abhor, when to use loathe, when to use aversion. So this is what you have to understand. So focus on the application, and you can also start with some books, self-help books, for vocabulary. Like I use Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. It's a good book. Why? Because you don't need to maintain a notebook for that book. At least that book is more like a book in which you have to use a pencil and you have to scribble. They'll first make you understand the meaning of the word, then they'll test you with the help of true or false, fill in the blank, match the following. It's a very, very, good book as a beginner. And it's not compulsory to finish the book. It's a fat book, but like 1/4 of the book, is dictionary towards the end. So the book is not like completely to be done. B, even if you don't finish the book, it will help you in starting with your vocabulary preparation. There is another book called Brush Up Your English by St. Imam. Brush Up Your English by St. Imam. So these were the books which I use. The newspaper is a good source, and you can read novels also as a beginning exercise. So some students may not be comfortable in straight away going to articles and white papers and the main area from which passages come in CAT examination. So as a starter, they can look at novels as well. So I personally started with Sherlock Holmes. It's it's a masterpiece, and it'll get you interested, it'll get you hooked to it. So I started with that, and slowly I started moving towards all the topics which are non-exciting, which are a tad boring and all. So you can use the same philosophy. So passages, A, vocabulary is king. B, varied reading. It is very, very important. See, I know English is not our mother tongue. Whether you are from south or north or east or west, English is not our mother tongue. But English is the official business language. So whether it be mails or reading mails or composing mails, making mails, or maybe writing a paper or reading someone else's paper, or communicating with your friends, you'll be using English as the mode of communications. So this medium is so important that if you're not good at it, it is not only the CAT examination, but in the business world, you'll face problems on a daily basis. So like in IIM Kozhikode also, from where I did my MBA, one of my closest friends was Efizio Mura. He was an Italian. He didn't understand Hindi. So how can I communicate with Efizio Mura not only for my project work, but also normal friendly talk if I don't know how to speak in English? And same was the case with him. He knew that we don't know Italian, we don't speak Italian, so of course he'll be using English as his medium of communication. So you guys have to understand, you cannot run away, like you cannot run away from maths if you want to do business and business management all your life. Similarly, you cannot escape from being good at English language. So being good doesn't mean that you need to be a poet or you need to be very good at Shakespeare and Byron and Shelley and all. You just need to be good in terms of your verbal and written communication. It is very, very important. Very, very important. Especially if you want to be the next Satya Nadella or Sundar Pichai and Indra Nui or Vinod Khosla or any big business tycoon or any big CEO. You'll be addressing people in this language, so this has to be one of your strengths. And the good part about English language, it is not that tough. So if I ask you to be good at Hindi, you will be in some serious trouble. The reason being that so many words, so many complicated words. If I ask you to write an essay that's a niban, I bet all of you will be committing a lot of grammatical errors, spelling errors, and blah blah blah. But that's not the case with English. It's a fairly easy language. So now moving from the RC part, so as I told you that 26 questions in the VARC paper are there. There are 26 questions, and out of 26 questions, 18 questions are coming from RC, which is the most critical part. The remaining 8 questions, 3 questions will be coming from para jumbers, 3 questions will be coming from para completion, and 2 questions will be coming from odd man out. So I'll explain what are these basically. Para jumbers, you have 4 to 5 sentences. They are jumbled up in order, and you have to find the correct order. So it's like Ram met Sita, Ram fell in love with Sita, Ram married Sita, Ram and Sita went for their vanvas, and Ravan captured Sita. So these 5 sentences are in order. So if I jumble it up, then you need to. So here again, you know, a good amount of practice will not only develop your intuitive logic in terms of arriving at the right order, but also, you know, using tricks like looking at the grammatical part, that okay, you know, the beginning cannot start with this word, or this word which is the beginning word of this sentence can only be you know, must be preceded by this particular sentence, or must be followed by something like this. All this is going to help you a lot. So 3 questions are from para jumbles, 3 questions are from para completion. Paragraph is written, and the sentence or the line which needs to be the ending for the paragraph, you need to find that. So options are also given in this. So then that's again is not very difficult. But primarily, whether you look at para jumbles or para completion or reading comprehension, they're testing your comfortability in terms of understanding basic English. They're not like over the top kind of. It doesn't require you to be very good at language. They require you to be good, decent at language. Then 2 questions are odd man out. So sentence 4 5 sentences are given. One sentence will definitely not be fitting, you know, when we look at the other 4 5 sentences which are, you know, somewhere making sense together. You have to find that sentence which is the odd one out, and you need to select it. So the entire paper is easy. The maths part is easy, English part is easy. It's just you need to be an early starter. It cannot happen like next year in August or July. Like right now we are sitting in September, end of September. It cannot be next year in September you are improving your vocabulary skills, or you are improving your arithmetic skills and all. No, that's the beauty of starting early. I remember in IIM Kozhikode, one of my seniors and friends, Dr. Jaidev Rajpal, he was a doctor and an IAS officer, and he was doing MBA at IIM Kozhikode, and he was my senior. He also got a very good placement at a company called RPG Group at a package of 65 lakh then. So he used to come first in his batch. That means he used to top the entire batch. So I asked him how are you able to top and all. He said it's very simple. The professor takes a class, and he says, if suppose he announces next day we'll have a quiz or we'll have a test on this particular topic that I have just taught. And what most of the students will do, that first they will go to the canteen and they'll abuse the prof that kya yaar, he taught something and tomorrow only he's taking a test on it. And then they will crib a lot, and then they'll go sleep a lot. They'll say, okay, let's do a night out today. And then at night they all will sit in the library or in their room, and then they will, you know, talk a lot first in order to make the mahal, the mood, you know, to study and all. What Jaidev used to do, the class is over, the topic is very fresh in his mind, he will go to the library, he will study till evening, he'll go play, have a good dinner, go to sleep, get up a little early in the morning, revise it, go and get full marks. So like starting early is the most important thing. It's called the early mover advantage. Whether it be an examination or whether tomorrow you'll be in the field of corporate or business, you will see that early mover advantage is everything. So please guys, start early. No matter how weak you are, starting early will ensure that, you know, when it is June next year, you will be like way ahead of others. And whether you're from an IIT or a non-IIT or SRCC or an average college, it won't make any difference. And especially in IIMs and all, when we look at the selection, there is no special weightage given to which college or the school you come from. So, and plus the maximum weightage is given to the CAT examination when it comes to, you know, who gets a call or shortlisted for interview. And then the maximum weightage is given to the interview when it comes to the final selection. So if you perform very good in the examination and you perform very good in the interview, you have a short chance of making it to the top IIMs. Like I told you, I got 60% in 10th, 57% in 12th. and still I'm from a general category. So, but still I was able to make it to, I'm cozy code. Reason being that I got a decent percentile. I was able to do a good job in the interview. I must have done a good job in the interview. Helps a lot. Plus, even though I was not from an IIT, I got a very good placement, one of the highest domestic packages of that year in Nobel Group, the multinational company. And because I wanted to get into education, because I'm very passionate about mentoring and helping and teaching students and all. So I got a big break in Time, which is India's largest CAT coaching institute. So things have been pretty smooth for me because like they said, right time, right place. So you are actually at the right time, right place right now. Plus, one very important thing is that don't expect a perfect environment around you. Like I know because of COVID also, a lot of you have lost your near and dear ones, including parents, and some of you are having financial issues or some other issues at your home or maybe in your college. Life is not going to be perfect, but you can try to be perfect. So it's like things which are not in your hand, let it go to hell actually. Thing which is in your hand, okay, I can prepare, I can invest my time and energy in preparing for the examination, I can get a good institute, I can get a good placement. These things are in your hand. Please do what is in your hand. Stop wasting time unnecessarily, because I know that in college, people, like, the maximum of time is wasted by college goers, whether it be like, binging on Netflix and Amazon and watching like series, or maybe going and partying with friends, or being on social media, or maybe talking over phone. This all takes a lot of time. So if you're doing it early, it's okay, but now you have to like really do something in life. So it's very, very important that you like work on time management. Time management is the most important thing, and definitely one of the most important thing is that your health, the time you go to sleep, the time you wake up, what kind of food you eat. All this basically is very, very important, because they have an impact not only on your physical self but also on your mental self. You need to be very healthy physically as well as mentally. And some things like getting up early in the morning, so you got a lot of time to study. Because generally if you look at, after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9 a.m., 10 a.m. till 7 p.m., 8 p.m. There's a lot of disturbance, right? You have your friends, you have a lot of noise, you have things going on. So try to utilize maybe what I would call the peaceful hours very effectively. Peaceful hours are basically night and early morning. Utilize it to the fullest. Nobody disturbs you at that hour. Plus, now, okay, let us talk about the third section, which is the reasoning section. So we have talked about English, the first section, 26 questions, 18 questions from unseen passages, that is reading comprehension, and 8 questions from verbal ability, where you have 3 para jumbers, 3 para completion, and 2 odd men out. Math section, we talked about the third section, which is the math section, 26 questions again, where arithmetic is having the lion's share. 35 to 40% of the questions they come from arithmetic. Then algebra, 25 to 30% of the questions come from algebra. 15 to 20% of the questions come from geometry, and a little bit of mensuration. Then less than 10% of the questions will be coming from numbers coordinate. So we discussed about that. Now let us discuss about the second section, the middle section, which is reasoning. But this is a tough section. So you have to understand that if you are putting a lot of hours of study, when we talk about results, you can't expect the same result that you'd be expecting in, say, maths and English from reasoning. Reason being that even if someone gets a very high percentile, their score in reasoning is very low. For example, one of the students that I trained last year and this year, Namit Garg, he got a 100 percentile in CAT, All India Rank 1 in CAT. And in DILR section, that is the reasoning section, his percentile was 99.96 percentile, but his score was just 33. And as I mentioned to you, you get +3 for correct and -1 for incorrect. So +3 is what, 11. If you attempt 11 correct into 333 is your score. So plus he would have done maybe a few mistakes. So out of 24 questions, so there are 24 questions in the reasoning section. Out of the 24 questions, he got 11 to 12, 13 correct. That's it. And still his percentile in DILR section was 99.96 percentile. So you have to understand that you don't have to score a lot to be among the toppers in DILR section. 5 to 6 sets will come, Nobody can crack all the sets, as you can make out that even the toppers are able to do like 11, 12, 13, 14 correct only. So we are looking at out of maybe 5 to 6 sets, if you're able to identify 3 sets which are familiar to you and you're able to do them correctly, and your job is done, you're in the top bracket of the country. Here also you have to understand that solving a set under pressure, time pressure, on the day of CAT examination is very, very difficult. So even those students who are able to get a good percentile, nobody gets a good score in reasoning. That's the reason I'm saying good percentile. Those students who are able to get a good percentile in reasoning are able to get it because they're familiar with those 2-3 sets. That means they have done it. They have solved it beforehand. So the amount of practice in reasoning definitely will matter. So initially it might happen that when you're solving the time material for reasoning, for most of the sets you're looking at the solution part. So don't feel embarrassed, or don't feel that, okay, I'm a loser, I'm not able to solve for every single set, I have to look at the solution. There's no harm in looking at the solution. In fact, most of the students who score very, very high, they also had to look at the solutions because that they are solving it for the first time in their life. So don't, and this is not only for the reasoning section. In maths, in English, in reasoning, in all these 3 sections, if you're not able to, so first you should try your level best to solve the question. If you're not able to, look at the solution, because right now you're preparing. It is not a day of examination. The day of examination is the last Sunday of November next year for CAT 22. So look at the solution, try to understand the solution. In reasoning, maybe it will happen that sometimes you are not able to understand the solution also. So take a break, go for a walk, again try to, like, don't give up very easily. Again try to understand the solution. It will take some time, but you'll be able to get a hang of it. Plus teachers, faculty members, your friends, your seniors are there to help you. So in reasoning, try to, be headstrong, that okay, this is a tough section, so it's going to be tough in terms of understanding, in terms of learning. Here I don't have to look at scoring, getting a full score. So the idea is more that, okay, try to get exposure to as many types of sets as possible. That's the reason starting early helps, because if you start early, you'll be able to solve more and more and more and more. So your level of familiarity is going to go up. So that's going to help you a lot. So think like that. That's very, very important. So start studying from now. Buy the NCERT maths books, or if you're ICSE student, whichever maths book you used in your 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, or 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th standard. Read the text, that's the literature. Highlight the important part. Do the solved examples. Highlight those solved examples which you found difficult. So if you are supposed doing geometry mensuration, so you do all the geometry mensuration from 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th. Then do the revision. When you do the revision, just read the highlighted part, the highlighted literature part, or those solved examples which were difficult that you highlighted. Plus, at the end of the chapter, you have these points to remember. Please try to go through them. It is very, very important. For English, try to strengthen your vocabulary, make a group of friends, make a circle of friends, and then play, with your vocab cards, and, even use some money to make it more exciting, like a gamble. So do that. Plus, English is a language. If you want to really improve your language skills in English, then surround yourself with that language. Read books, read articles in English language. Even if you're watching content online, watch English content and listen to English news, and try to use this language as much as possible. So of course you can't like start speaking English, to your friends who are not preparing for CAT. They'll think that you're showing off. So it's very important to have friends, who are preparing for CAT. That helps a lot, because sometimes you'll be down, they'll be up, they'll boost your morale. Sometimes they are down, and you can, encourage them. And playing games, especially for vocabulary, it helps a lot. So plus do a lot of varied reading, go online, read from different areas. So today it was spirituality, tomorrow it's philosophy, day after tomorrow it's psychology, then political science, history, geography, civics, economics. Try to read as much as possible from different areas. Plus, when it comes to reasoning, be patient. Like, it will take time. You'll have to look at the solutions, for most of the sets initially. Okay, there are some books like George Summers and Shakuntala Devi puzzles and all, but that's not the kind of DILR which comes in CAT examination. So it's better when we talk about DILR, straight away, go to the time material and start solving from there. So in DI, you have topics like tables, line charts, bar graphs, pie charts, caselets, games and tournaments, routes and networks, maxima, minima. And similarly, if you talk about reasoning, this was DI. If you talk about reasoning, DI and LR, may you have DI and LR. If you talk about reasoning, you have linear arrangement, you have circular arrangement, you have distributions, you have selections, you have binary logic, you have comparison. So these are the topics that are there. And in maths, as I mentioned, in arithmetic, you have time, speed, distance, time, and work, averages, mixtures, alligation, simple equation, ratio, proportion, variation, percentages, profit, loss, simple interest, compound interest. In algebra, you have functions, graphs, indices, logs, surds, different types of equations, progression series, and you have geometry and mensuration. And then you have Venn diagrams also, and you have unseen passages, para jumble, para completion, odd man out. So this is basically the entire course of CAT examination. Good part about it is that if you look at non-CAT examinations like Symbiosis conducts SNAP, Symbiosis National Aptitude Test, you have SIBM Pune, SCMHRD Pune, and many other Symbiosis institutes under it. Then Narsi Monji Mumbai conducts NMAT, where you have Narsi Monji Mumbai and Bangalore and Indore and Hyderabad and Navi Mumbai and few other institutes. Then Extra Jamshedpur has their own examination called ZAT, that is the Xavier admission test. And then Indian Institute of Foreign Trade Delhi, it conducts its own examination, IFT. But the good part about preparing for CAT is that CAT will ensure that the preparation for maths, reasoning, and English is done. Now in ZAT, the only extra section is decision making, which again is a mix of it's like reasoning only, but it's easier than reasoning section of CAT. Then SNAP has nothing extra, Narsi Monji has nothing extra. Maybe Narsi Monji and Symbiosis SNAP examination, they will have some easier topics from reasoning which don't come in CAT examination, like coding, decoding, and blood relations and directions, and the symbols and notations. And IFT, it is having just GK section as extra. So there is no GK in any MBA entrance examination. GK only comes in few examination. One is IIFT. In that, GK comes, but it is not scored, so it is not going to decide who will get what percentile. It is not scored only. So only in IIFT, SNAP has no GK, and NMAT has no GK. These are so there are 5 major examinations of MBA: CAT, ZAT, IFT, NMAT, SNAP. These are the 5 major examinations. There are other exams also like MAT and CMAT, but they don't have very, very good colleges under them. So if you are preparing for CAT, you are indirectly preparing for all the 5 major MBA entrance examination. Start early so that you don't panic. Try understanding this 1 year of preparation can change your life. You can be where you can't possibly imagine. Take help. There are many mentors. Even if you are not a time student, I'll be more than happy to help you at any time. I'm just going to be typing my number in the chat: 8948966663. So my name is Ashish, sir, and I will be more than happy to help you, anytime. You can WhatsApp me, you can call me, you can Telegram me. So this is my life, all about helping CAT aspirants, because I benefited a lot from it. So I would like to spread the gospel as much as possible. I hope I haven't left anything. We have, I have been able to, in a nutshell, explain to you as much as possible. It was a 1-hour webinar, so I thought I'll keep it short and neat. So my number is there. If you want to ask any question, you can post it in the chat, or you can even post your questions in, a box called questions, which is there in front of you. But the most important thing is that, see, does it make sense investing a year for this examination? Yes, it does. When the economy goes down, still the placements at the top MBA institutes, whether it be the IIMs or Excel or FMS or SPGen or MDI or IITs or NITI or TIS or XLRI or Narsi Monji Mumbai or SIBM Pune, they don't go low. They still keep going up. So if you look at the graph of the average domestic salary at any top 30 MBA institute, it is just constantly going up. Take advantage, take benefit. Plus, in all these top 30, 40 institutes, the institute gives you the loan. So they have bulk deal with the bank. So it's not your father has to mortgage his property, or he needs to be your guarantor, or you need to give some collateral. Generally, the institute's reputation and goodwill is as such that you'll get a loan, and this loan is going to be term free loan, collateral free loan, guarantee free loan. So money cannot be a problem. They'll give you the laptop, they'll give you the mess food, everything. So money cannot be a problem. If we had more time, I could have shown you, testimonial videos of students who are farmers, and I have trained them along with my team personally, and they have made it to IIM Bangalore and IIM Calcutta and all. Anyone can get through. Anyone can do it. That's the beauty about studies. It's like nothing needs to be. It's like you don't need to be born with it. It need not be congenital. It can be acquired. So intelligence is also not innate. It is acquired. So you can, if even if you're pathetic at studies, you can be a champion. You can come first, because like it all has to do with hours. If you invest hours, and the second most important thing is that even if you invest a lot of hours, if you are the scaredy cat types, like you get scared very often, you can do nothing in life. So I took multiple attempts at cat. I took cat 3 times actually, and on 2 occasions I got around 94, 95, 96 percentile types. The reason was I was scared. So one day when I was driving on a scooty to go and take an IIM-Cat, I stopped the scooty. I said, till when I'm going to be scared? Like every time I'm scared, and before the exam I want to go to the loo, I feel like puking, I feel like drinking water, I'm just scared. So I just want to be stopped. I just want to stop being scared. Whatever happens, come what may, I'm not going to think of failure or fear or anything. I'll just give my best. And not believe in that IIM-Cat, my all India rank was around 21 across the country. So from 95 percentile straight away, I started going closer to 100 percentile. And this was just with a simple realization that being scared will ruin your chances. It will never help. Like if you're scared, how can it help you? Let's suppose you are going for a public speech, or you're going for a tournament, say in sports or music or anything, or an examination. Being scared is going to screw up things. You need to be confident. You have to understand that in life, or in any sort of competition, there are people who will be hyper competitive, they'll be aggressive, they'll be having the mentality of a conqueror to go and win it all. So एक तरफ you are having competitors who are going to like kill you if you give them the slightest chance. They have the shark mentality, and you're scared. So it doesn't make any sense. Grow up, stop being scared. It doesn't help. Now people might ask me how to stop being scared. So very, very simple. Whenever you are feeling fear, think that it's not helping you. So why do it? It's like someone is taking drugs, someone is taking alcohol, someone is smoking cigarettes. So I know of kids at your age, they're smoking cigarettes and all. Now it's not helping you, right? It's screwing your health, screwing your mind, it's making you addictive. So what's the point? Just stop it. Like your soul has chosen your body, your mind to experience this life. So why you want to screw yourself? Why who will do this? Like, so don't do this. Grow up, be happy in life. If you are happy, the best part will be you'll be able to study a lot without feeling exhausted. If you're not the happy types, you will be perpetually exhausted because you'll keep thinking. And a lot of you guys, you have this problem of overthinking. You'll keep thinking what will happen, what will happen. Like, don't do this. Don't think a lot. Stop overthinking. You're not your mind. It's like, one of the direct disciples of Gautam Buddha, he went to China, and the Chinese emperor visited him. It is a real life story. And he asked this Buddhist monk that, okay, I have this problem that I keep thinking, and I'm not able to sleep. I'm not able to be happy. I'm not able to enjoy even the wealth and everything that I have because I keep thinking a lot, overthinking. So, okay, I'll help you. Come tomorrow in the morning at 5 a.m. and bring your mind. So the emperor, he didn't sleep the entire night, that how I'm able to like bring my mind. What does he mean by it? So he went to the Buddhist monk early in the morning in a very confounded state. The monk said, okay, show me your mind. So I said, it's not my hand or my face or my eyes or any, it's not an organ that I can show it to you. So, okay, then find it inside you. If you can't show it, the mind must be somewhere. Show it. He said, no, I am at a total failure. I don't know how to find my mind. So he said that there is nothing known as mind. It's thinking is an activity. You can stop that activity. It's not an organ. It's like you can't stop your heart suddenly for a long time, or you can't stop the functioning of your organs. Thinking is an activity, and you can stop that activity and this has to be done consciously. Like every time you're daydreaming, most of you guys will be daydreaming, suddenly you're studying and the mind is going here and there. Bring it back, say, okay, cut it out. Yeah, I don't want to keep thinking, I don't want to think this, I want to do something. This helps a lot. Your concentration will go up. Your with concentration, the speed at which you understand, assimilate things will go up. You'll not be exhausted. Most of the times it's not studying or it's not playing or it's not doing something which exhausts us. It's basically we keep thinking, so it exhausts us. So you'll be away from all the negativity. Try to not be falsely emotional. The right word for it is mawkish. When people get drunk, they get foolishly, falsely sentimental and emotional. Stay away from all these things. So I had a real nice time talking and chatting with you guys. I hope you guys were able to, learn a lot from today's webinar. My number is there to all of you, and I hope to see all of you soon. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot.